Hello, Melton Guy here. Got a few things I want to talk about. I want to take another look at things like I try to do. One thing before I get started on the subject of my podcast today, I want to say this, and then I want you to forget it because it's not what my podcast is about. I want to talk about, not particularly about Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk and that fanatical, clueless crew that he hangs out with. So out of touch with America and with politics, so refusing to see what is there before them, like it is with all MAGA Republicans who have swallowed the Kool-Aid already, if you will. I'm going to tell you, he made someone on his in his group made the comment that this 34 conviction, 34 count conviction of Donald Trump, and you all know what I'm talking about. I need not to go any further into explaining the convictions, but he made the comment that this is a gut punch to the Republic, to our country, to our way of life. Well, I say you're stupid. Charlie Kirk and all that bunch there with you at that particular time. You're absolutely stupid. You're blind. You refuse to see. You have what I call chosen ignorance. You're not ignorant because you didn't go to school. I don't know what school you went to, but you're not ignorant because you didn't go to school. You're ignorant because you choose to be, because for some reason, you think you have to do this in order for you to survive in whatever area of politics or journalism or whatever it is you want to be into. And as you're doing that, I'm telling you right now, you're dismal. All of you are dismal failures. You cannot be successful in journalism. You cannot be successful in politics when you continuously just look the other way or choose not to believe something because it just doesn't fit your nature or it's not what you wanted. And no, it is not a gut punch to our country, to the Republic. If it holds up and what gets done, what should get done in all of this, it's a shot in the arm for this country. A well-needed shot in the arm for this country. And yeah, when you say this has never happened in our country, you're right. And that shouldn't be a word coming out of your mouth, words come out of your mouth sounding like you have pride in that statement. It should be a point of absolute shame that you were part of it. But I just wanted to say that about you bunch of guys that think you've got the world by the tail. I mean, you don't know. As I pointed out about, I think it was Lauren Boebert said, did not know how to pour piss out of a sandal. I kind of apply that kind of thing to you. At least you demonstrate that kind of aptitude. All right, what I want to talk about today really has nothing to do with that. They're involved in some of the people that I want to talk about, but I want to talk about something that's kind of out of the blue, I guess, but I need to say it, and I have my reasons for needing to say it. And that is, and I'm talking about me, and I'm talking about thousands and thousands of other people too, but I'm talking about me at this particular point. Why are the remarks of Donald Trump and his gestures about a person who is physically and or mentally disabled, have special needs in our country or any country, why does his remarks and his attitude when he mocked that young man, why does it especially offend me? And I've got to get personal. I can't really tell you what I want you to hear unless I get very personal. My son, Matthew Tyler Guy, was hit by a car when he was 19 years old in 1995. A lot of people said he should not have survived, but he did. But he was a quadriplegic. Everything he ate, we fed it to him. Everybody in need, we took care of it. When he had to be picked up, I picked him up, or my wife picked him up. She had to use a Hoyer lift or some kind of lift. But from 1995, 96 till 2021, that was our life. Am I complaining? No, we did what we wanted to do under the circumstances. We love that boy. I love him right now, and I miss him. No one that's never lost a child can know exactly what I'm talking about, but I love that boy, and I miss him every day, and that's not going to change. I'm 74 years old, and I don't expect that to change if I live to be 124 years old or older. But he was hit by a car. He became a quadriplegic, and we decided we were going to take care of him at home. Oh, we had institutions and doctors and nurses, and we had friends, some relatives that said we need to put him somewhere where they can take better care of him. And I thought to myself, nobody's going to take better care of Matt, because their definition of care and mine are different. We could get the equipment and do all the medical things that we needed to do. If we couldn't, we would take him to the doctor or to the hospital. But I knew that nobody was going to sit there at night and scratch his nose when his nose itched. I knew nobody was going to come in there and change him every time he had an accident. But I knew we would. And we did, and we made sure of it. It can be done. The only bed sore that Matt got the whole time was when he had to go to the hospital for several days, and he got one. And we took care of that in a hurry. But at home, never got a bed sore. We took care of our son. He was special to us. He had special needs. And I can tell you about times that many of you probably ever think about it in a case like ours. But we decided we were going to take Matt out when he could go. If he wanted to go to a restaurant, if he wanted to go fishing, wherever we could get him in that van and get him there, we'd usually figure out some way we could do the things that we knew made him happy, at least brought a smile to his face. Now, I had a niece say, and I feel about her the same way I do. I mentioned a while ago about Lauren Boebert, about not having enough sense for piss out of a sandal. That we were just using Matt as an excuse to not go to some things like a family reunion when we times we couldn't go. We weren't able because we were at the time maybe exhausted or whatever. I don't know. I don't have to offer any excuses. But I just wanted to tell you what she said. She said that the whole country is wheelchair accessible, handicap accessible. And if any of you have been a caregiver for somebody in a wheelchair that had to be in a wheelchair, and you travel around, you know that is so far from the truth. You're always fighting something. We would go to restaurants and we would go in if we could get in. Most of them had ramps and you get in, but you would come to those. You'd find out once you got in, then you had to make other arrangements. But anyway, we would go to places. And I remember one day I took Matt into a cafeteria and we were sitting there. And when I sat down with him at a particular table, a gentleman sitting at the next table got up and left. And at first I didn't think anything about it, but then I heard him mumbling, "Can't handle this." Another time we went and we've had them say things like, "Okay, well we'll find your place, but it's going to have to be in the back out of the way from everybody else. We can't have you right here in the middle of traffic." Well, we didn't want to stall the heavy traffic in the restaurant, but that was not our intent. But we didn't want to be told up front, in front of everybody, that we were not good enough for our particular situation to sit in the restaurant anywhere we wanted to. We had to go to the back. And when I say back, I mean the back. One told us, we went to one restaurant, Bennigan's. I don't mind saying it. We went to Bennigan's, and we were told before we ever came in that they weren't equipped to handle us. Bennigan's. This was in Raleigh. I don't even know if it's there anymore. But we've been to churches that were not handicap ready, not disability ready, not ready for people with special needs. Churches. And special events, if we went to a special event, we had to check it out days before. Check out the venue, see if it was a place that we could get Matt. And like I told you, we took Matt everywhere. And we did things that a lot of people said they wouldn't have tried it, but we wanted to make sure that Matt had some semblance of quality of life. And to tell me that we use Matt for an excuse and things coming out of my family like we're just tired of walking on eggshells around Matt. I come from more than one family in my family. If you think I think of these things easily and clear them out of my head quickly, you're wrong. They stick with you. Especially things that family said not to you. It might even be better if they said them to me, but they said them to other people. And then we heard about it. And first time I'd just let it go, but then I'd hear it 2 or 3 times. You know what, so-and-so? But then anyway, they hurt. And that's why Trump's remarks will go unforgiven on my part. I don't think much of anybody who does that kind of thing. I mean, I've even go back to 2016 when we saw this awful, awful action of Donald Trump mocking someone with special needs. And I know I saw it. And you know you saw it if you were paying attention. And you should have. If you're going to vote in an election, you should know what for whom you're voting, not just the name, but the character. And I can't begin to tell you how I felt after my wife and I witnessed Trump saying these things, doing this thing that was absolutely so satanic and awful. And I looked over at my wife and she was crying. And she's not one to cry. Very strong woman. She's not one to cry. She said, "How could he talk about my baby like that?" Yeah, she took it personally. And so did I. There has never been a presidential candidate in our history that I know of, or any president that would refer to my son, my baby, my Matt, and our love in the way that Donald Trump spoke on that day. Somebody say, "We need to let it go." No, you haven't been where I've been, and you don't get to tell me to let it go. It was so callous, so cruel, so unfeeling to me and all others in this country, or the world for that matter, who have their own Matt. They know exactly what I'm talking about. Of course, we've all come to expect this type of callousness from Donald Trump. Concerning any issue, not just this issue, but any issue. Any issue with which he blunderingly deals. But I digress. You can't imagine the plethora of emotions which were ignited in our minds and hearts when we knew we had been what seemed to us as a total betrayal by my family. Knowing they had seen what we had seen, or should have seen what we had seen, and then go out and vote for this man, knowing our struggles. And had one brother even tell me he voted for the better person. I thought to myself, my God, how did you make Donald Trump better? A better person than practically anybody I knew or they knew. I do not expect any of those of whom I speak to feel any remorse. I do not expect them to make any retractions. or even acknowledge how it might have been for us. I don't expect any of them to say, well, I didn't look at it that way. I don't expect any of that. I've learned over the years the callousness that is Donald Trump has been passed along. The unkindness, the cruelty has been passed along. So I don't expect any remorse, any retractions, or even, I know you've had it hard, and I don't want it. I don't want your pity. I don't need it. But those things that I mentioned, that callousness, the cruelty, the meanness, taking lightly the problems of people in despair, those things exist in the MAGA cult. Remorse, retractions, and acknowledge what it might be for others. You cannot find that in the MAGA cult. But they're all Christians. I know because they tell us they are. They're all Christians. But nowadays that does not mean jack shit to me when you say you're a Christian. Because we, that is my family, we do not need that brand of religion. Might even go so far to say we do not need that brand of Christianity. And this country does not need a president who sees no problem with mocking, looking down upon, and adding despair to a person already in despair. Anyone who can, and can do it without qualms, treat and dismiss an action mocking a physically and or mentally disabled person does not have the heart, does not have the soul, does not have the brain to be a leader of any kind of government or a leader of any kind, much less the President of the United States of America. So to answer my own question, and maybe yours, why do I bring this up now? Well, I'll just say this. What I just said, is why I bring this up in the 2024 presidential arena. I do not want people to forget how Donald Trump feels. And for that matter, as I said, that callousness has been passed down, how families have been made to feel, and how families have been made to betray, and how families have hurt to the core. That's why I bring it up in 2024, a presidential year. How do you feel about it? No, I'm serious. I want you to stop at some point and say, thinking about all the things I've said, how do you feel about it? I want you to remember my friends on YouTube and Midas Network, Midas Touch Network, Tennessee Brando and Texas Paul and Owen Morgan and Rachel Maddow, and there are many others. Just you go out there are people out there who will tell you the truth and they'll back it up. They will not make innuendos. They will not make suggestions based on nothing. They'll tell you what's has been said, what has been done, and they'll tell you their feelings. There will be no lies. And I can't say that about many other places. Certainly not Fox News. Listen to my buddy Brando. I think in all my years, he's one of my favorite people that I hold in high regard as far as being wise. I do not consider many people wise, but Brando, Tennessee Brando, I consider him to be wise. I never met him, never talked to him. I listened to him every day, several times. He's a wise man. Oh, he may use some bad grammar. I probably do myself. He's not going to say everything exactly right. He's not going to put it. If you graded this paper, he'd probably have a lot of red marks on it, as would many of us in other areas. But wisdom, you won't find more wisdom. I urge you, I beg you, I want you to listen to me, but I want you to listen to Tennessee Brando. Listening to him is why I decided I wanted to start doing something. And maybe he will give you that urge to get out there and speak your mind and tell your people. If you don't do it on broadcast, do it on the street. Yeah, my wife just came in, so pay no attention to the woman behind the curtain. But anyway, that's my story for today. Remember those people I've mentioned, and if you will, give them a like, subscribe, and if you will, give me a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe to mine. And remember, I'll show you again my book, The Offspring of Ignorance by J. Milton Guy. Until the very next time, I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of this week. God bless you.